if you want to start off just kind of telling us about yourself and about the team and any past business or crypto experience that you've got.
Yeah, for sure. So AMBO Pipeline is a real world physical pipeline that's going to be built. It's about 900, well, we are now optimizing it down to about 814 kilometers long. It's going to start in Bulgaria and it's going to go all the way to Albania. And we want to be the first oil company that's involved in the blockchain in the world. Point blank. Technically, we already are. However, we're not up and operating as a pipeline yet. This is where the blockchain comes in. We're using the blockchain to do a few things. We're using the blockchain to be the first pipeline in the world that's carbon neutral, and we're doing that again through the blockchain using synthetic carbon credits with a really big partner. That partner is to be disclosed later once we sign the papers. Number two is, well, this is the way the future is moving, and that's the way it's forming for security. So we want to be involved in the blockchain. We started working on this project for the blockchain section back in 2021, early 2022, and we've been working at it since then. It's myself and Justin, who's the Baron. He's down in the audience. We initially launched, I want to say mid-November to do phase one. Phase one was all the way until December 31st, and a few days ago we started phase two. So phase two, this is in both scenarios. Sorry, I just got a question. In both scenarios, we have been doing our raising through NFTs, and we're doing those we're approaching them as AMBO memberships. Those memberships, they include everything that comes down from the rewards that the NFTs generate. And in this scenario, all of the rewards actually come from a revenue source. In this case, we have our first revenue source, which is the actual transportation of oil. It is going to take 3 years to build the pipeline and get it to operate. However, in the macro version of our project, we have secured the funding we need to construct and get up and get running. So that's $500 million for the first installment, and then another $1.5 billion over the 3 years for construction. That brings up the question of why are we looking at raising money then? The reason we're raising money is we get moving down into the micro sections of our project. The micro sections of our project are things like getting the money to be activated, paying the legal fees, paying the commitment fees, due diligence, all of these things. Because the amount of money is so large, it takes a lot of money to get the legal portion sorted out. That costs a few $1 million. We have to buy out the original company that holds the rights of the pipeline. Because we are transitioning from one company to another, we have to buy out the existing shareholders. So there's money that goes there. And that particular money is coming from our loan. So that's not really a problem. And then we got to pay our lender a commitment fee. A commitment fee is paid when you get into the bigger figures. That money usually comes from yourself, and it shows that you are serious about what you're doing, let alone all the other tests that you go through. Once you take care of that, you move into the next step, which is due diligence. Our lender needs to make sure that I'm legitimate. I don't have a malicious history. I don't have anything against me in the past. Things like that mean, we've never stolen money, we've never embezzled money, we don't have fraud, there's no criminal activity. And that goes for everybody that's involved in the project. That means that's myself, Justin, who's the main director, Ted, who is the CEO. Ted is really the jewel of our project. He's the one that started everything. Back in the early 90s, he started negotiations with the 3 countries. And then 2007, I believe, everything was signed and put into legislation. So the rights are secured. There's no more, we're not petitioning to build a pipeline. Everything is taken care of on a legal point. And then we have our project manager, who is going to be William. Due diligence also on him, so takes time and it takes money. This is why we're doing the fundraising. And instead of giving these opportunities to VCs, we're doing it for the blockchain. And in order to reward the people that help us raise the money, we're paying them back by having, for the first 3 years, we have a reserved portion of our funding allocated to rewarding those people. And then after 3 years, the reward is coming in from the actual transportation of the oil. So that's revenue source number one. Revenue source number two, which starts immediately, we want to buy portions of DeFi projects at a minority level. So that means anywhere between 10% really up until 40%. We want to be minority shareholder. Think of it that way. Whatever revenue that brings in, we generate AMBO tokens and we give them out to our NFT holders. Revenue source number three is when we get into the passive income streams per se for AMBO, the project. These things can be blockchain validators, they can be yield optimizers, trading bots, algorithmic trading, everything down that road that makes our capital get deployed more efficiently. And whatever money that makes, we generate the equivalent number of AMBO tokens and give them out to the NFT holders. This is the entire point and angle of our project, is whatever money comes in, we generate AMBO tokens, and those tokens can always be swapped one-to-one for stablecoins. And that will be done directly in our decentralized app. The reason we're doing it that way.
What if there is no income? I mean, are you guys not paying out anything? Let's say you have a bad year and you've got nothing. I mean, are you telling people they're going to get X amount regardless, or are you telling them, you know, if things go bad, you may not get anything? How are y'all going to handle that?
For sure. So during a terrible year, let's say crypto-wise, and two of our streams don't make money, it means those two streams don't pay anything. But the reality of it is our pipeline handles 900,000 oil barrels per day, and that equates to we're charging about $2 to $2.50 per barrel transported. So we are looking at about technically $94,000 of revenue per hour. And what we're doing. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, what about until the? I mean, that's going to be 3 years out at a minimum. So for those 3 years, you know, what are you going to do then if you don't have that as a backup, essentially?
For sure. So for those 3 years, like I said earlier, we do have a reserve fund that's specifically allocated for the NFT holders, because we are paying a minimum of 20% per year for the first 3 years. And that money comes from our loan in order for us to reward the people who helped us get funded and also make sure they're taken care of in the long run. And at the same time, we need to make sure that money comes from a sustainable source. And in this scenario, it is coming in directly from an allocated budget that's, you know, it's already in the budget. It's not hurting the project, and it doesn't need new investors for us to pay it out. So
okay. And so back to the loan. I mean, how did you guys go about convincing a lender to give you $2 billion? I mean, you've obviously got to have some sort of assets to back that, or a down payment or something. So how can you walk me through that process?
Yeah, that's correct. So in our scenario, our collateral is the rights to build the pipeline. So if anything is to go wrong, we give up those rights to build the pipeline to our lender. Those rights are like deep 8 figures. And that's our initial line of credit gets activated using, really, like not activated. That's the collateral for our first line of credit. Once we complete our first year, which is what our line of credit is for, at that point, it gets transferred to the primary lender who takes care of the full construction loan. Because we're working with one broker who's working with 2 lenders. And this is how we're able to make it work. Now, these lenders are, one of them is a private capital firm in the US, and they deal directly with like to give you an idea for the size, they deal with like the U.S. Federal Treasury. That's the size of these guys. And then our main lender is it's private equity as well, and they're located in Canada. They and over the last few years, they opened a new branch that's focused on funding infrastructure projects. And the way they've built it is they focused around projects that take 3 to 4 years to build, which is why this was such a perfect fit for us. When you work with somebody and their structure for loans is exactly like your project, it makes the process 100 times easier to move forward. When we initially pitched them, so we did our pitching back in March. In April, we were able to get a pre-approval for the construction loan, and that had a lot of contingencies to it. Those contingencies were basically met in October. October is when we were able to get the okay for our line of credit. So that's line of credit is 500 million. In October, we got the okay for that. There is one last condition that needs to be met, which is I need to go through due diligence on myself, Justin, Ted, and William. Once those are cleared, which I know they will be cleared, we get started on actually receiving the money. Being able to receive the money, that's where the financial costs associated need to be paid. And those costs are about $1 million. Right now, we are working also on off-chain capital, but we are trying to minimize it because we don't want to work with VCs. The reason for that is if we're able to keep the track or the path that we're on, we will be the first privately owned pipeline in all of Europe, which gives us the flexibility and the appropriate power for us to allocate the project to be involved in the blockchain the way it is.
Okay, as far as the land goes, because I know that can be a difficult part of all this, has the right-of-way been secured already? Have the landowners been paid?
That's correct. So there is a right-of-way, and it is written in law already across those 3 countries.
Okay, how did that work? Is it like similar to that domain, or did you guys have to make a deal with each landowner specifically? Was that already in place? How'd that work?
So that question is technically for Ted, but from what I understand is they had to go through every town and every city along the route. Well, obviously they had to get the okay from the governments themselves, like as a nation, and then move down that way, and then get to meet like all of the local mayors, municipalities, little towns, all those things. That's how they're able to do it.
Okay. All right, so so far you said phase 1, y'all calling it the pre-feed, the 10 million raised. You said you already raised that, and that was done through the NFTs, correct?
No, sir. So that was privately raised.
Oh, privately raised. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
How much has currently been raised? Because minting is live for the NFTs, right?
Yes, sir. We're at just a little over 150,000 raised for minting.
150,000.
Okay. We would really like to get around to the $500,000 mark. It is going to take some time, but we're pumping out more marketing, pumping out more content, and we're continuing to deliver value.
Okay. As far as the project completion costs, it's $2 billion. So many times, I mean, especially with a project that's going to take potentially 3 years. I mean, and it may take longer. I mean, I think we've all seen the Keystone Pipeline, how that goes. It will probably go on forever, you know. So, but I wanted to see if you guys were prepared if things get out of hand, if the costs get out of hand and it costs 3 billion or 4 billion or even 5 billion, because I know this stuff can get out of hand. Are you guys prepared for that? Are your lenders prepared for an increase in costs?
Yes, sir. So in this scenario, what happens is we start to secure the pricing ahead of time in order to be able to keep things getting from out of hand, like as much as possible. It is a construction project at the end of the day. However, in the contract, there will be a clause saying, in the event where we've used all of our budget and we need more money to keep going forward, we will be able to get more money and obviously show why we need it. So in this scenario, let's say we get 80% completed, for example, and we've used all of our budget, then, we have the finance team available to interact with our broker or lender in this case and say, here's where we're heading. We're actually budgeting to run out of money faster than we anticipated, and here are the reasons why. Then we're able to get another small chunk extra that we need to make sure we keep going forward. And at the end of the day, it sounds like you're aware of it, but a construction project is generally, you continue to get funding as long as the percentage of completion is there to show.
Yep. Okay. And you have not, you said you didn't disclose who the lenders were, right? You just said one was from Canada. Are you able to disclose that? Who they are, or?
Disclosing them. They're both private equity firms. And from where I stand, I'm not able to give out the names at the moment. Once I get the okay, because we are still operating under non-disclosures, once I get the okay to disclose the names, then I can do that.
Okay. All right. So I think that kind of covers most of the stuff about the project itself. So let's maybe get into more about the NFTs, because I'm sure that's what everybody here wants to hear about. So
before we slip into,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to cover a few things about the team and about things that the team has done in the past.
Okay.
So we're led by a gentleman named Ted Ferguson. He's built the Alaskan pipeline, and he's been in the oil industry for over 60 years now. He is getting old. He's in his 80s now. However, this project is the last project that he wants to officially retire with. Okay. So, and he was an executive engineer at BP, I believe. So he does have, just by himself, over 60 years of experience of building pipelines. And then we have William, who's got over 40 years of experience just by himself as a project manager in the oil industry as well. And then Justin, who's the main director. Him and his dad have been working in the Balkan region with construction projects for just like Justin's dad was Ted's best friend. He recently passed away, but him and his dad have been working with Ted since Ted started his professional career, if I remember right. And Justin by himself is 23 years. Justin's dad basically worked until he passed away a few years ago. Between them two, they've got about 65 years. And myself, I've been in the blockchain. I've been project management and strategic consultant for 10 years now, give or take. So this is definitely not my first rodeo. However, it is definitely my biggest challenge to date, and I'm excited to keep going forward. We've got, so that's the main core of guys that are working on the project. We are scaling up really quickly because once the funding goes live, we do have a project firm or an engineering firm that we have in mind. They're called Worley, and they're in Australia. These guys, their business is building oil pipelines. So that's going to be our main engineering firm that we would like to go after. With construction, there's going to be a few thousand people working on this pipeline. We're estimating about 6,000. And then once it's built, an operating staff of approximately 600. I understand the size of this project can make it seem like it gets out of hand really easily. However, all of the required professionals and expertise are going exactly where they need to be. And our focus here is to make sure you guys are able to participate in something this large by simply using the blockchain. And this is where we can transition into the NFT side.
Okay, great. Yeah, so about the NFTs, just taking some info from your website and white paper. So for taking part in it, you guys will issue an AMBO producing NFT on the Ethereum blockchain. During construction phase, AMBO-Pipeline NFTs will print an annual 20% AMBO for holding the NFT. The NFT tiers go tier 1 through tier 7, and then past that is the elite tier. Tier 1 starts at $250. Elite is $250. Elite is $250,000.
Yes.
And Elite NFT purchasers will have an open line of communication with AMBO and able to access funding for development and new ventures. So will you dive into that a little more about them having access to the funding and development for new ventures?
Of course. I'm not sure if you're looking at the most recent version. However, we do have a tier 0 version, which is free.
Okay.
And we'll get into that a little afterwards. In terms of the Elite NFT, it is really designed, it is designed for the bigger projects and for the bigger investors. Generally speaking, the people that would like to participate at the Elite level, those guys have constant ongoing businesses, whether they're serial entrepreneurs, whether they're creating new branches of their business every few years. The goal of that is, if somebody is to participate at that level, once we're up and operating, so 3 years from now, and we have the revenue that we're anticipating, we are able to return the favor by funding those new ventures. That's the goal of the Elite. Is that, okay, you have, let's use this as an example. The crypto kingdom participates at an elite level, and in a few years from now, you want to create this branch that needs funding because it's great because of ABC. It's presented on paper. There's an executive summary for it. All of the logical business things you generally would apply with, but they're well explained. If we like it and if it works for how we can support you, we're able to put funding on the table because it comes directly from revenue.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. All right. Let's see. So the liquidity you said for the 20% APR AMBO printing, that's going to come from your passive income that you guys will be investing on the blockchain, as well as some potentially from the loan if that's not producing enough to cover the 20% APR. Is that correct?
Yeah. So at minimum, we want to do 20%. And then on top of that, to add layer 2 of revenue and then layer 3 of revenue. And those are pretty well explained in the white paper as well, if anybody wants to take a deeper look at them.
Okay. All right, awesome. So you list things like oil derivative trading, business acquisitions, algorithmic trading, Bitcoin mining, blockchain validators. So you guys are kind of open to a lot of things on the as far as the crypto side goes to that passive income.
That's correct, because we're not only here to raise money. We're ingrained in the blockchain, and we want to make sure it stays that way. And to give you an idea, it's going to cost a few $1 million per year to be carbon neutral. And we want to do that exclusively through the blockchain.
Okay. And the minting, you can mint with, a few different tokens, right? What all can you mint with? It's not just Ethereum.
So you can mint with USDC, DAI. You can mint with BUSD on Ethereum. You can mint with wrapped Ethereum. And last night I set up the credit card minting. So if you'd like to purchase an NFT with a credit card, you're able to do that. There are a few tweaks for the credit card that I have to finalize, but the main crypto minting methods are available and everything is working 100%.
Okay, great. All right, and then we've got, before I was going to roll into some of the community submitted questions. Is there anything else you want to cover on the NFTs before we kind of start asking some of their stuff?
No, not really. I'm here for the questions.
Okay. Yeah, we'll start with this one. So Marina says she was reading on the Wikipedia page, the length of the pipeline's 912. However, the docks are down to 814 kilometers, and it changed from 900,000 barrel, while Wikipedia said 750. So essentially just some changes in the numbers. Can you explain kind of what why those numbers have changed or why there's differing numbers on Wikipedia?
So first one, oh, so 750,000 barrels. The reason for that, back in the day, they were looking at 3 pumping stations across the pipeline. Okay, so we'll tackle that first. We're able to actually get 4 pumping stations across the pipeline. And if we add the 4th one, then we get up to the 900,000 barrel per day. That's the reason for that.
Okay.
For the length of the pipeline, it is between 900 to 800 kilometers. We were able to change the route since the last, Wikipedia here, I'm just taking a look at it. States 814, yeah. So the actual route was changed to go over the mountains, and it was able to save 100 kilometers. Now, it's a little bit more expensive to make it go over the mountain. However, by saving over 10% of length, it offsets the cost. What this does for us as a business is it reduces the amount of time it takes to actually transport the oil.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, for sure. The white paper says, I'm reading the same questions as you here.
Yeah. White paper says you earn 100% payback. And I didn't see that part, I guess. So if you want to dive into that question, clarify that.
Sure. Marina, question number 2, that was only for phase 1.
Okay.
The reason doing that, or we did that, is because we're all collectively putting all of our money into the project to be able to get the big loan. That's exactly why we put that payback in place. However, that's not sustainable long run, and therefore we only did it for phase 1 because we really want to push being able to get our first tranche. So let's say we raised $1 million for our phase 1. Just an example. Paying back 1 million does not hurt the project at all, even at a first tranche level. Because the way we're operating and the schedule that we have in place is we're looking at getting $50 million every 30 days for a whole, actually it won't be, 50 million for 10 months every 30 days. So it totals to 5. So even with our first tranche taking $1 million hit, for example, we're still left with 49. It's not and that's the reason for that.
Okay, got it. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about marketing a little bit. I mean, obviously you're here for the AMA today. What have you guys been doing? And do you have anything else lined up? Do you have other AMAs? Do you have any large marketing pushes that you're planning?
For sure. We had a very large marketing push in November. And the idea was, I think we did 7-8 different large AMAs. And now with phase 2, we have a number of marketing pushes that are prepaid. We are having trouble with Web3 marketing people because a lot of them are big promises and no results, unfortunately. And we're getting better at filtering those people. And one of those reasons is why we're here today. Like I've been in this server for a long time. I like the people here. You've got your history and your track record, and that's why we're happy to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Happy to have you guys here. I definitely know what you mean, though. Promise a lot and get a little, basically. But after we've all seen it around the space, So,
yes.
Okay, well let's see. Let's go to Crypto Brazil. Asking if this project, the pipeline, is officially being advertised to construction companies. Like, are y'all offering out a public bid on this, or are you guys contacting specific pipeline companies privately? I mean, I know there's only a few that can probably tackle a job this big, or maybe you'll be having different companies working on different sections. How are you guys going to do that?
For sure. So that particular area of the project really falls under Ed and William because they're the ones that have the contacts in the industry because, like I said, combined they're over 100 years of experience and contacts in the space. But realistically, construction companies, it only makes sense to have the bids happen. However, it comes down to our engineering firm. They're the ones that take care of everything when it comes to that.
Okay. And he's also asking if you guys have thought as far as, things coming into play like nature conservationists, activists, environmentalists, all that stuff. What's your game plan if, you've got a mob of people come up and try and shut down your pipeline? I'm sure you guys have thought about that.
For sure. So those things would be a problem before to getting, excuse me, I'm still getting over COVID. For people who disagree with building the pipeline through their property, that would be done prior to it going into legislation. So what we did in this scenario is all those things were dealt with before it went into legislation, and therefore that means the municipalities, the mayors, any area the pipeline is designed to go through have already been approved. For the nature conservation, what happens now is once we get our funding, the first 12 months are made for an environmental and social study. And it makes sure and confirms that we're not putting anything in danger, especially any endangered species like plants, animals, birds, anything that can be disrupted. As long as we get the okay after 12 months, we keep our path. If we don't get the okay after 12 months, we do a small detour to make sure we're not in the area of an endangered species, and we carry forward. So it really is just to make sure the path is okay. And the reason we know why the path is okay is we're running alongside a highway for, any area that's close to civilization, basically. So that part we know is okay. Runs alongside a highway, which already had the study done before it was built. So that part's cool. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. He's got quite a few questions here. Crypto Brazil saying that normally such big projects are supported by the National Fund of EU. Maybe did the project get any money from the EU, or is it all private equity money?
So it's all private equity, but in the past there were large banks, national funds that wanted to be contribute. We had the approvals then, but we're not using those anymore. We're using the private funds because they are cheaper and they are just as available for us to get. Is there? I know the last question. Well, the last part of question 3 is the big one. Are there any investments from Russia? If yes, which companies? There's no investments from Russia at all.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's see. Ivar the Boneless is asking where we can mint. You can mint on your website, Craig. So you can just go to the website. There's a big green button at the top right that says Mint NFT, and you can click on that, and then it will pull up another button that says go to the DApp, and then you just go there and you can mint there. Correct?
That's correct. It's defi.ambo-pipeline.com. If anything, yes. I urge you to hop in the AMBO Discord as well. I'm sure the King will have a link somewhere. We're happy to take on all the questions. There is tons of recorded spaces, recorded AMAs asking all of the difficult questions, and we answer every single one of them. And we do it all in public. There's no asking your questions privately. We're very open about our project.
Okay. And then Chen Peter is asking, what is your current focus of the AMBO team? What are you guys putting all your energy into right now?
Raising money.
Raising money. All right.
Yes, sir. We need money to be able to get moving into our next step, which is securing our loan, but paying for it. And then from there, it's really go time. It starts the environmental and social study. When that kicks off, the contracts start going on paper for us to start securing our revenue earlier than as early as possible, really.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Edith's got a few questions. So yeah, one of her questions is, where do you see yourself in a few years? And that kind of makes me think about that I'd seen on the white paper. I think that you guys have like two plans, basically. One of them is an exit plan, which I imagine means you'd be acquired by someone. And the other is to operate it yourself forever. So what happens if you guys are to get acquired? What happens with the NFT holders then?
Probably buy out everybody, to be honest with you, or at least
Buy out all the NFTs.
excuse me, or at least at that point we can close down the oil side and do something else with it. But this is why there is three major branches to our NFTs. Is in the event of a buyout, we can airdrop a whole bunch of money to all of our holders and cover the oil side. However, there will always be two more branches producing money every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Adam Truck, he's asking if you guys will have a proof of reserves. Will that be public information, what you've got?
Proof of reserves will be on chain. So there will be two sections to our project. The proof of reserves will be, I don't know, let's say, how do we put this in the best way possible? Let's say we make $1 million in a year as NFT holders. That means we need $1 million on chain in stablecoins to be able to support all of the AMBO tokens that were printed, and people want to swap them to stablecoins. Those stablecoins will be held by the Treasury, which is a public address.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, Small Cow is asking, how often will you carry out audits to verify the efficiency and objectivity of your security protocols and smart contracts?
The contracts are already deployed, and we're getting an audit from. We have a partner that we just signed an NDA with. They're a very large assurance and security name in the DeFi space. Once we finalize our meeting with them, what's today? Today's Thursday. Maybe today or tomorrow, and we agree on the terms. They'll be the ones carrying it out, and their name will be public as well. So that stuff is already in the works. There's no need for ongoing audits because the smart contract doesn't change. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see now. A question from Ivor the Boneless. Can you sell part of your project to stakeholders? Would you guys consider selling any part of the project, just like a minority percentage, or you guys going to hold it all until you either sell it all or just operate it yourself?
We will naturally have to give up a small percentage of our project to the oil companies that we work with. That's just how the oil industry itself works. However, in the scenario where if we get approached with a few $1 million, we're open to selling a small percentage to make sure we expedite the financing rounds.
Okay. All right. We've got a question here. Onaya, how do you plan on handling regulation in the SEC? I would imagine that you guys, being that this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar project, I'd imagine you guys have quite a large legal firm. So I'm sure you guys have maybe looked into that.
Yep. So at the moment, there's a lot of reasons why the wording is done the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
The NFT themselves are a collectible item. They generate rewards. I'm not telling you this to make money. I'm just telling you what the AMBO tokens will do. I'm explaining everything to you guys. At the end of the day, it is your decision. We are setting them up as memberships. So when you purchase a membership, you get the NFT with it. You get, the special access to things that would generally be paid, and that's how we deliver value. So that's a big reason of why things are set up the way they are. However, in the future, with a bigger legal team, we can actually set up a second pipeline, which is our future in our roadmap, in our white paper. That second pipeline, once the SEC, once the world figures out how it wants to regulate crypto and fractionalize ownership, we want to be able to do, some percentage of that pipeline open for the public and can only be obtained through NFTs.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. Man, I just saw another good one. Well, he was asking about Linda Hall was asking about someone duplicating your idea, and I could probably say that's going to be pretty difficult to do since you guys already have the rights to the pipeline. This is, I would imagine this would be extremely difficult to duplicate this exact scenario. But people may on smaller scales try to duplicate what you guys are doing, because I imagine you guys are trying to pave the way essentially for integrating the blockchain into real life businesses like this. So, but yeah, are you guys imagining, having some duplicates kind of roll off of your guys' idea?
Sure, people are happy to duplicate what we're doing, but rule number one is you got to go through the legal torment and the decades of negotiations with countries to be able to get the okay to build a pipeline. And not just that, get it written in law.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's the duplications and competition. That part is technically for us is for branch number 2 and branch number 3 of the revenue sources, which come from on-chain. Like branch number 1 of revenue, which is directly coming from the pipeline, that's not many people are going to be able to duplicate that.
Yep. Yeah, you guys have put in, you said he's been working on this since, you said the 90s?
Yeah,
starting negotiations? Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, cool. That's pretty much gonna kind of wrap up most of them. I mean, a lot of these I'm seeing now are kind of ones we've covered somewhat already. So, kind of some of the challenges you've faced and all that stuff, and I would say which probably would be the legal aspect of everything. But yeah, is there anything else that maybe you think we haven't talked about that you want to mention or go over?
For sure. If you guys want to take a look at the announcement section in our Discord, and I'll drop it here in the general chat, the amount of NFTs available per tier are extremely limited. So tier 1 has 1,000 NFTs only. Tier 2, which is $500, there's only 500 of them. And tier 3, which is 1,000, it is our most popular NFT that gets minted. There's only 250 of them. So once they go, they go. We're not planning on doing a second, we're not doing another phase. We would like to mint out this phase, and that's it for now.
Gotcha. Okay. And yeah, guys, I'll also set link, and I'll be posting some more information about AMBO here probably today and tomorrow, and we'll kind of keep you guys updated on a couple things. And then we're going to get an announcement channel set up for these guys as well. That way you guys can see kind of the most important announcements that are coming through. You'll be able to see some of those coming through right here on our server. But I definitely suggest that you guys go join their Discord, as you'll find most information, be able to talk with the team over there. So go check out their links. It's going to be under our new project section. And you're going to see AMBO-Pipeline. Go ahead and head over there and check out the links, and go ahead and vote on their trust score as well. So, okay, is there anything else?
No, that's it. Minting is live. Anybody that would like to go, we've tested everything. Everything has been super smooth. If you have a problem minting, please just drop us a hello in the Discord, and we'll make sure to help you out.